Asia stocks surge after Trump says Iran war over soon. Nigeria security crisis, communities torn apart by violence and kidnappings. Those were the headlines. And now to the news in detail. This is Star TV News. In a significant move to enhance patient safety and clinical standards, the World Health Organization WHO on Monday donated state-of-the-art autoclave machines to the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul. The investment, valued at over $50,000 marks a critical upgrade for the country's primary referral center. Modi El Baji has more.
For the staffs at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, the donation represents a major leap in operational efficiency. Fabakari Tarawale, head of the CSSD at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, noted that the hospital had previously relied on manual cleaning methods for medical equipment. Tarawale furthered that the donated sterilizer machines will greatly enhance services, expressing deep gratitude to the WHO and its partners for addressing what many describe as a long-standing logistical challenge.
Say that all the staffs in the hospital who are aware of the situation of these machines in the CSSD are all happy when they got the information that the new machines are eventually here in the hospital. So all we can say is a big thank you to the WHO country rep.
The Chief Medical Director at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, Dr. Mustafa Bite, accepted the equipment with a promise of diligent oversight. He assured donors that the machines will serve their intended purpose, revealing that a dedicated team of professionals is already in place to handle the maintenance and technical upkeep of the unit.
Because we are overwhelmed with joy. Thanks to the leadership of the minister. He understands that if you don't have these issues, if you are not able to do sterilization, a lot of things will come to a stop. And the expansions that we are doing, right now we have expanded urology theater. We are doing full work with top and all that at the urology theater. This is excellence. So we are doing whole trauma unit at Nembang. We are doing maternity, whole expansion. We are doing pediatrics. So a lot of surgeries that before used to go to Senegal, we are doing them here.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Amadou Lamine Samate, lauded WHO for their magnanimous gesture, emphasizing that high-quality sterilization is the backbone of any successful surgical and clinical environment. Honorable Dr. Samate underscored the government's commitment to enhancing healthcare service delivery in the country.
Of course, when facilities are built, they need to be equipped, and that is what we are seeing today. They need to get state-of-the-art equipment so that the staff are able to give the services that the patients require. And one of the most important pieces of equipment is an autoclave in a hospital. So WR, we thank you very much for this gesture. We thank the entire WHO team. We thank Dr. Nathan.
Dr. Nantan Nsumbuga Bakaeta, the WHO country representative, framed the donation as a strategic investment in the Gambia's future, stating that the handover is more than a delivery of equipment, saying it is part of a broader shared commitment to strengthen the Gambia's health system, adding that it's aligned fully with national health sector priorities. With WHO recommendations and with global efforts to reduce healthcare-associated infections, improve patients' safety, and advance universal health coverage.
The procurement and installation of these modern autoclave machines, an investment of close to $50,000, is so timely and important. Again, we started this process earlier, There was a lot of back and forth, but I want to congratulate the ministry, the PCU, EFSTH management for being resilient and having a never give up attitude for us to have come this far. I think you deserve clapping. Because other people would have said, this thing is not happening, let us send the money back or use it for something else, but you persisted, and for that we want to salute you. My prayer and hope is that for everything else you do, have that never give up attitude, and we will change the health system in the Gambia forever.
By advancing universal health coverage through better infrastructure, this partnership between the WHO and the Ministry of Health aims to set a new standard for patients' care at the nation's largest hospital. For Star TV, I am Modu Elbaji.
The Association of Non-Governmental Organizations recently welcomed a high-level delegation from the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, SIDA, for strategic engagement focused on project impact, progress, and future collaboration. More in this report by Ajifatu Jallo.
The visit provided a platform for Tango to showcase its ongoing initiatives, including the recently concluded project promoting equal rights through education, dialogue, and advocacy, which has been instrumental in empowering communities and advancing sustainable development across the Gambia. Through this project and other grassroots programs, Tango continues to strengthen civil society, promote inclusivity, and build resilience among vulnerable groups. During the discussion, both parties emphasized the importance of partnerships in driving long-term change. The delegation commended Tango's role as a unifying body for Gambian NGOs, highlighting its commitment to transparency, accountability, and community-driven solutions. Ndeiserim Bakurin, the executive director of Tango, highlights the importance of SIDA activities project.
And it's good that some of the activities we are having under this SIDA project is to build capacity also, work also with DGPRS, the community-based organization, women's group, and women and girls leaders. It's very important because we really want to see women come up.
The meeting also underscored the broader impact of international cooperation in addressing challenges such as poverty reduction, gender equality, and climate resilience. By working hand in hand with partners like SIDA, Tango aims to expand its reach and ensure that communities across the Gambia benefit from inclusive and sustainable growth. The support of Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency is further demonstrated through the introduction of a new 3-year program on capacity building of women and community-based organizations in the Gambia. This initiative highlights the importance of strong participation in advancing the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Through this program, the capacity of civil society organizations will be strengthened, particularly in key areas such as women's leadership and decision-making, enabling women and community actors to play a more active role in governance, development processes, and inclusive participation. Modula Minbai, Program Manager Networking and Resources Mobilization, shed light on some of the activities they have been doing.
M&E proposal development techniques for advocacy and so on. And then we also conducted, among the activities was a networking and partnership advocacy between civil society and NGOs within the NGO community in the Gambia. And also internally, the project has supported the development of several policy documents, which I will get to later, for Tango to enhance our coordination and our operation. And then there was also leadership and management training for us staff members and also the board members as well. So the legal policy documents that we have developed were 1, a gender policy for Tango, 2, a child protection policy also for Tango, and training on financial management for staff, installation of accounting software, staff appraisals, and conduct of annual general meetings.
Amiture, Program Manager, Research and M&E at Tango, highlights some of the work they have been doing for the past years as an organization.
Tango had done a great work in recognizing the effort. I remember one of the speakers, that is the minister that came to the event, recognizing the effort of one of the organizations that has done a lot of work in empowering women to make sure that women know their rights and also participate in decision-making. So it's something that we want to continue to do.
As the session concluded, Tango reiterated its dedication to creating lasting impact through strong partnerships, innovative programming, and continuous advocacy for community empowerment. For Star TV News, I am Ajifatu Jallo.
In a bid to promote inclusive leadership and national development, the University of the Gambia Teachers Union with its partners convened an all-gender conference under the theme Advancing Gender Equality for Inclusive and Sustainable National Development. Ajifatu Jalo again.
Students, academics, and development practitioners came together to discuss gender inclusion, youth engagement, and leadership in advancing national development. The conference recognized the contributions of men, women, and young people in promoting equality and emphasized the shared responsibility of all genders in nation building. During the event, Bintu Diba, UTG Student Union Gender and Health Minister, highlighted that empowering all genders strengthens families, institutions, and the nation. She encouraged leaders to mentor young people and create opportunities for inclusive leadership, stressing that leadership is a shared responsibility that benefits society as a whole.
International Women's Day is not just a celebration to me. It is a movement. It is a reminder of the battle fought, the ceilings broken, and the work that still lies ahead of us. Women have always led, sometimes loudly in boardrooms, sometimes quietly in homes, communities, and movements. But history often forgets to write our names. But today, we write it ourselves. My journey in leadership has not always been easy because leadership as a woman, it means you're often expected to prove yourself twice as much. It means your confidence may be called attitude, your firmness may be labeled aggression, and your ambition may be questioned. But it also means you learn resilience, you learn courage, and you also learn that your voice is not meant to shrink to fit into rooms. It is meant to shape them as well. International Women's Day reminds us that empowerment is not about competing with men. It is not. It is about completing the society. Equality is not about dominance. It is about fairness. It is about ensuring that opportunities are determined by competence. They are determined by character and not your gender.
Speaking on the role of men in promoting equality, Ibrahima Dabo, Program Officer of Men for Equality, he emphasized responsibility, empathy, emotional intelligence, and shared family roles and urged men to actively support initiatives that empower women and youth.
In ensuring that we have a society that is gender equal, while do men matter. Our society is shaped in a way where the fabrics of our society actually is tailored to suit only men. And when you talk about gender equality, most men would think or tell you, in fact, that it is a women's issue. And that is a fallacy, or Ahmad Ba would say, bonkers. We understand that in our society, men control most positions in our homes, in our kabilos, our clans, in our villages, in our towns, in our regional administrative councils, and even at national level, presidency and whatnot.
On the role of youth and women in fostering peace, Suwaibu Fofana, Program Officer at Peace Hub, noted that conflicts often arise from exclusion and intolerance. He stressed that early involvement of all genders in resolving disputes is key to sustainable peace and referenced a UN Security Council resolution promoting meaningful participation and protection of women in peace processes.
25 years ago, the UN Security Council passed a resolution 1325 on women, peace and security to formally recognize the meaningful participation of young people, of women, in peace-building processes. And this particular framework underpins that peace is more sustainable when we have women in the heart of this process. And this particular resolution was guided by 4 pillars. One that is participation, we have protection, prevention, relief, and recovery as guiding compasses that are pushing this women, peace, and security agenda forward. The participation pillar is talking about the meaningful participation of women in peace negotiation, in political leadership, in security forces, and all forms of peace and decision-making processes. And the protection pillar is talking about protection of women against sexual and gender-based violence, against abuse, and against human rights violation.
Addressing issues of gender-based violence, Aisa Duba, program manager of the Network Against Gender-Based Violence, highlighted the prevalence of domestic violence, sexual assault, trafficking, and female genital mutilation. She warned that such violations hinder both personal and societal progress and called for stronger enforcement of law and support systems to protect all members of society.
When women are empowered, we say the whole nation is empowered, because women are the ones nurturing our children at home, taking care of the family at home. So the leadership of women is not only in the offices that we occupy or the positions that we occupy, but even at the home that we are, the leadership clearly shows. So when such violations happen, they are always, limited. So the laws are there to protect women and ensure that we thrive, to expectations.
The conference concluded by highlighting the importance of advancing gender equality through inclusive participation and leadership. Speakers stressed the need to strengthen systems that empower all members of society, protect against discrimination and gender-based violence, and ensure that men, women, and youth can contribute fully to national development. For Star TV News, I am Ajifatu Jallo.
The Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia, DLEG, has announced a sweeping series of arrests across the country, targeting individuals in possession of suspected cannabis sativa, kush, hashish, crack cocaine, ecstasy, and skunk. More in this report. The coordinated operations carried out between February 19 and March 8, 2026 resulted in the detention of over 40 suspects, including 2 minors, underscoring the scale of the nation's drug challenge. In Sukota, a 35-year-old man was found with 3,830 pills of ecstasy, while another suspect was caught with 178 parcels of cannabis sativa. In Bundum Bohol, a 24-year-old was arrested with 40 stones of cocaine. In Sambayasin, authorities uncovered 2 cannabis plantations in the suspect's backyard. Numerous arrests involved wraps, bundles and parcels of cannabis and kush concealed in rice bags, cement paper, food sachet socks, and household containers. The suspects range from 14 years old to 54 years old, highlight both the vulnerability of youth and the involvement of older individuals of drug trafficking. DLEG confirmed that all suspects remain in custody as investigations continue. In a statement, management reaffirmed its unwavering commitment addressing the drug problem, calling on the public for support, collaboration, and active participation in the fight against drug abuse and trafficking. This operation reflects a nationwide escalation in enforcement, with arrests spanning urban centers like Bakau, Brikama, Kololi, and Talending, as well as rural communities. The diversity of substances seized, from cannabis resin to ecstasy pills, signals a complex and evolving drug landscape in the Gambia. For Star TV News, I am Mamudu Bailabari. If you're just tuning in, this is Star TV News, and we are broadcasting from our studio along the OIC Road in Kanifing, formerly the Battle Harden Highway, and now to news beyond our borders. Asian stock markets have experienced a sharp rebound, with South Korea's KOSPI surging more than 6%. The rally followed comments from U.S. President Donald Trump that the conflict with Iran could end soon. Al Jazeera's Jack Barton reports from Seoul.
After days of rapid increases in oil prices, there's been some reprieve after Trump's comments on ending the war. Let's take a look at just how volatile the market has been. Brent crude, the most traded type of oil, averaged around $71 a barrel in February. It rose to $78 on March 2nd, which was the first day of trading after the war began. And it surged past the $100 mark on Monday, but it has now dropped back down to $88 on Tuesday. West Texas Intermediate, or WTI, is the other benchmark. It averaged around $65 a barrel in February and climbed to $71 a barrel on March 2nd, but broke through $100 a barrel also on Monday before coming down to just under $90 a barrel. Global markets have also shown signs of rebounding. European stock markets recovered as energy prices eased, with increases of more than 1.4% reported in Paris, London, and Frankfurt. Stocks in China and Hong Kong have also bounced back from their lowest levels since December and August. Jack Barton reports from Seoul.
U.S. President Donald Trump's suggestion that the war could, in his words, be over soon was enough to send stock markets across Asia surging, with South Korea's KOSPI rising more than 6%, so quickly that buying was temporarily suspended. the upside of a stock market roller coaster that also saw selling suspended on Monday after the Kospi fell 8%. The turbulence underlines the region's dependence on Middle East oil and gas and petrochemicals, essential for everything from farm fertilizer to skin cream and plastic goods. South Korea imports almost all its energy needs, so is particularly vulnerable to price shocks, which translate to the consumer as inflation. The South Korean government has been working to stabilize the markets with a special fund created at the start of the conflict. But the markets are really just the bellwether for trouble in the broader economy. Analysts here say real stability will require a resumption of reliable imports from the Middle East, which will require real peace, not just statements of reassurance. Jack Barton, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
Finally, a security crisis in northern Nigeria is tearing rural communities apart. Dozens of civilians and soldiers have been killed in recent months as armed gangs raid villages and kidnap civilians. The United States has sent troops to help the Nigerian military's offense against criminal groups. Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris reports from Abuja.
In Nigeria's north, the sound of gunfire has replaced the quiet of rural life. For many here, the pattern of displacement and killings feels painfully familiar. Along highways and in isolated villages, kidnappings for ransom continue to tear families apart.
We are constantly on the run. Men and women aren't spared. You can't even produce food to feed your family.
An estimated 10,000 Nigerians are killed every year, just as thousands more are kidnapped for ransom. American troops have been deployed in Nigeria with the government's cooperation. Yet despite their presence, armed groups continue to raid, kill, and loot.
Between that November and February that we are, a lot of attacks have occurred. In fact, on a monthly basis, almost about 1,000 Nigerians are being killed. The same thing happened in January. It's repeating itself in February. So that pressure is on the Americans. A lot of Nigerians are beginning to ask the questions, why is it that in spite of the presence of the Americans, this attack? So that would be a litmus test for the American state to show that its presence would actually help Nigeria.
The attacks are fueled by the hundreds of millions of dollars the armed gangs collect every year. The government denied paying ransom. Al Jazeera's Mehdi Hassan interviewed a spokesman to the Nigerian president.
I know of our government's effort in dealing with that insecurity. If you have a little understanding of the nature and the boundary and the geographical measurement of Nigeria and the tendency for insecurity to come in, then you will understand that we're fighting a hydra-headed insecurity situation.
Security analysts say kidnapping is now an entrenched criminal economy, where ransom payments fund weapons, logistics, and recruitment for the next strike.
If these elements know when they carry out those attacks, they would receive ransom, then they are not going to stop.
Big cities like Abuja have been spared major attacks for some time now, but rural communities remain vulnerable. Security analysts believe troop numbers and equipment are inadequate to protect every Nigerian village. But most of all, they say successive governments have failed to address the root causes: poverty, corruption, and governance failure.
For many Nigerians, security promises are measured not in speeches, but in whether the next night passes without the sound of gunfire. But for now, the gunfire, burials, and abductions continue. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Abuja, Nigeria.
Says Iran war over soon. Nigeria security crisis, communities torn apart by violence and kidnappings. Well, this is all we have time for in our this edition of News Bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Do stay tuned and enjoy our programs. Until then, have a pleasant night.